I've got the chat up tonight so I can see you. My Jodie's sisters, is it both of you? Is it Lucy and Colette? Is my Layla there? My daughter Jodie, obviously, has another parent, Pete, and Pete has two daughters, the beautiful Lucy and Colette. Kind of feel like my stepdaughters in a way, yeah. But yeah, did you stumble across me, ladies, or is it because we're doing a paranormal night? You know, I know you like your paranormal stuff. Your Granny Pat used to see strange things. I'll tell you about that one day when we sit down. Well, first of all, I would like to wish my nephew Kyle a very happy birthday for today. Yeah.
3-0.
Is he the dirty 30, is he today?
Yeah.
It's the big 3-0, yeah, they're all growing up. It makes me feel a bit old, that. And I'd like to wish our witness Chrissy from the premiere that's just been on, it was her birthday yesterday as well. So we'll get all those in as I can. I'm just going to give you a chance to get in there. I can see you all. So let me just say some highs because I can actually see me chat tonight. Kiz, Dave, the Whitman's in. Fonda, there's Eileen, my Romany sister. Margaret's in. Jojo, Jamie McLeod. And obviously Colette and Lucy. There's Mike Wright. And Sober Carper's in. Hi, Tanya. So we have a full house tonight. So let's get going. So, what did you think of the CCTV of the little hand on the door? Bit creepy, that, isn't it? But when you hear the story about how there's 3 little boys in the house, and there was a number of boys on the boat when the boat went down and was capsized, to me it kind of all came together at the end with what we managed to find out. George, I can't read out loud what George just said. But before we get to that, I've got some exciting news. People are asking me, when are you going to do it? No, when you're on tour, when you're doing this, when you're doing that. So, on the 15th of June, the weekend before solstice, I will be in Pewsey. And I'll be doing a talk on the British Bigfoot, dogmen and werewolves in the UK, creatures seen on military defence land, and paranormal family lines, which is a little bit like we're going to talk about today. There are other speakers on. Mark Pilkinson's on, Saeed Noah, Jill Kirkham, Thomas Mikey Jensen, I think it's Jenny Rebane, I'm sorry if I got it wrong, Jenna, Mark Rayworth, Julie Phelps, me, and Sandy Adams, and we'll all be talking on our chosen subjects. You can come out for the weekend, or you could just come out on the Saturday to see me. I will be there on the Friday, so I know some people want to come out and have a coffee with me at the hotel and things like that. So as soon as I know what time I'll be arriving, I'll let you guys know, and then if you want to come out and meet me for a coffee, let's do that. But I will put a video together for it coming up, because you can buy your tickets on Eventbrite, and I will give you the link to that. Lucy, is it your birthday today, sweetheart? Well, I didn't know that. Happy birthday, Lucy. Yeah, Lucy Erica. It's her birthday today. Eileen Pewsey's in Wiltshire. I think, I don't really know the area, I'll be honest. I think, is it near the White Horse? I think it was when I looked. But we'll be at Bouvier Hall, which sounds very posh, doesn't it? Quite nice. I had a look, it's nice. I'll be doing the talk for Miles Johnson from the Basis Project, so that's why we're doing a little bit of each thing, so that he can introduce me to people, and you know, they'll know the subjects and things like that. So let me just pull my notes up now. I'm man with a pan. Now everyone's in, I need to get my notes up. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of what's gone on at the house. Oh, Tanya, thank you very much. That's really kind of you. So what we've got is, we've got Mum, and she's got 3 boys, young teenager down to a smaller boy. Youngest boy's on the spectrum. And when she bought the house, way back 23 years ago, she told her parents that she just bought this house in the countryside. And her parents said, oh, you were born there, and you never settled. It was an awful house, and you know, we kind of left it. Let me get that down. It's a bit hard. Excuse me, forehead. So yeah, her mum and dad sold it and moved away. So she didn't know that she was actually born in the house when she bought it. Now, the lady she bought it from, her name was Mrs. Moore, and she was reluctant to sell it to them. She said that she'd had awful luck in the house. In fact, her young son had died out on the lane on his bike, and she really didn't want Chrissy to take it. And Chrissy just said, no, you know, I feel like I should be here, kind of thing, and she took it on. There was bad experiences from the very first week that she moved in. She'd see like a tall, cowled or hooded figure that would stand out near the old pump house where the garage is. Now that's original to the land, so that was built pre-Victorian times. And it was worked by the people who owned the farmhouse that was there before the house, and then the house was built on top of. I think 1830 when the house was built. So she said at night, when her husband was on night, she would hear like banging on the wall or on the doors. Some of the doors would actually unscrew, or the handles would be unscrewing off and come off. And there was a place on the land that they couldn't get into. It was an old extension and it had all kind of collapsed in on itself, so they couldn't actually get it. And they could hear banging coming from in there. Now, in 2016, they did uncover it and they managed to get down in there. And it's an old bricked, it's like an arch smokehouse. So there was nothing in there to be making the banging. An animal couldn't have got in there or anything like that. And we think it was for the family that lived on the land. They would have smoked, meat, birds, fish, that kind of thing to last them through the year. So the house is in absolute rack and ruin. Oh, thank you, Mike. That's really, really kind of you. The house is in rack and ruin, absolute rack and ruin. But she loves it. She just fell in love with the home. And she said, for all that you'd get bad, negative things happening, you also got like really positive light orbs that would float about. But she did feel that she'd had some terrible luck from living there. She said she'd had a number of miscarriages when she lived in the home. And her mum, she lost her mum and then she lost her dad. And her first husband changed at the property. She said they were incredibly happy till they moved there. And then he just became an awful person to live with, and he left. And when he left, everything got better. He was much nicer away from the house. And that happened with a second partner as well. Oh, thank you, Kiz. A second partner was the same. He was lovely when she met him. And then he moved in the home and just changed into an awful person and moved out and was fine again. So she stayed on her own with the boys for quite a long time, just doing the house up, trying to, fix it up and get it back to how she wants it, kind of thing. And if you see the setting, if you go on to Google Maps, if you've got your phone on you, it's Pets Lane, so Petts Lane, and that's Sutton Bridge Links. But if you just put Pets Lane Links in, it will pop up. It's rural, it's out there on the coast. You've got the River Nene that flows at the side of the house, and that goes out into the estuary, into the bay. There's a lighthouse, a very small port, and not really much else out there other than, fields and things like that. And they look like old farm fields, like you would have had cows or sheep on or something like that, rather than crop fields, I would imagine. Very similar to like the links in Scotland and places like that. So as the years go on, the activity affects each boy differently. One of the boys drew a picture of something that he saw in the corner of his room, like a dark thing standing in the corner of the room that he didn't like. And the youngest boy went through a period of drawing things that he saw on his ceiling, these dark things that he'd see on his ceiling above his bed. But Chrissy managed to put a stop to that and end that. So at the moment, we've got the creepy hand video. So if you want to see that, you're going to have to pop over to the premiere or on my YouTube channel. There's a number of small videos of it. And we've got this awful garbled audio. I'm not going to give timestamps or anything like that. And when I say timestamps, people, I mean from the CCTV capture, not from the phone that you're looking at it on. I've had about 72 different timestamps this week. There's an actual clock on the CCTV. If you could give me the timestamps off that, that'd be brilliant. So you've got like orbs, these dark, misty shapes that just move in front of the camera. All seems to be centered around that hallway where you see the actual hand capture. I hear a couple of names. I think I put about 15 minutes of audio out there, and it's garbled. It's like a garbled voice, and I hear down in the darkness. We're down in the darkness, and I hear help me a couple of times, and I literally hear it, I'm drowning. And both me and Chrissy felt that was connected to the sea and the river and the wrecks out there. Now, before people say to me, because I've had it all month, it's just static, Deborah. If it was just static, it'd trigger 24/7. It'd be on 24/7, day and night. If it was the port that was setting it off, or if it was a radio or a CB, it would go at different times. And when you look at the timestamp, because I put a list of them together, it happens around a similar time in the evening. Is that when he would have been going about his business, doing what he did? Does that match to the tides? I don't know. I've not looked at that yet. But that's a hint that I got, so that's probably what I'm going to do. So you got this poor woman out there on her own with these 3 children in this clearly haunted house, in all honesty. Most haunted case I've ever worked on. And I've never seen footage like the CCTV footage that we got, so I make the broad claim that it's probably one of the most haunted houses in Britain. And I suggested to Chrissy, who lives there, that maybe it was connected to the crash, because at the same year the house was built, there was a boat that capsized, and as I said, there were people on that boat. 9 people went out. The pilot, which was Edward Burton, and his son Bernard, who was 12, and 7 other people who'd come down from Sheffield for a day trip, and they all died except for one lady from Sheffield. She was taken back to Sheffield, and they were dragged up onto the beach where the house is. And there was some children on that boat wreck, and they have the same name as Chrissy's son. And Matt, why did you just look at me like that? You proper put me off. You did. You just completely took me through. Yeah, so they have the same name as Chrissy's son. And they're similar ages, because obviously the children are growing up, aren't they? They're going through these things. And I wonder if those boys are out there alone, and that's why they went to the house, why they congregated to the house. So yeah, so it's not interference. It isn't. You'd be amazed how many people told me that. Obviously, we've checked out all of that. Before I bring it to you, I do, there's things that we do. Well, before we bring the video, we make sure it's not been tampered with in any way or anything like that. I'm just watching you all chat away in there. You don't need me. I'll keep going. Yeah, so I said to her, I'll do what I'll do, and I'll see what I can find out. So I got this really strong hint about Samuel. And I thought, if he's meant to pop up, she'll say his name at some point. So what you heard in the premiere is like from the 12th of March through to the 14th of April, and I actually finished it Thursday evening. So not yesterday, the day before. So that's how current it is. It's just like that month and a half stretch there. And there's so many orbs and CCTV that she's only sent me a small section of it. Oh, there's a lot more to go through yet. Really need help with that, to be honest. So she did. She messaged me and she said, Deb, it's called Pets Lane, isn't it? And she said, the guy who used to live out here, because I said to her, I have a feeling, it's all to do with family and the old owner at the property. And she said, well, the lane's named for him. His name was Samuel Pets. And I thought, yeah, she mentioned him, right? So I'm right. So I started digging. Samuel Pett's father was called George, and he married Sarah Burton. So the boys that died on the boat, they were the Burton boys, and Samuel was born the year that Bernard Burton died. So the families were related. So they would have gone to that home for like weddings and funerals and Christmases and birthdays and get-togethers and, in sickness and in health and all of the other stuff. So they're probably just still partying in there, and have been partying in there for like 2 centuries now, because 6 years, it's 200-year-old, this house. And then you've got to take into account that there wouldn't have been, it's a headland, so you wouldn't have had a lot of forest out there for building, and you don't in coastal areas. And a lot of the homes are built with whatever washes up on the beach. So if it's a shipwreck, or it's driftwood or whatever, it would go into your home. It'd be the mantle on your fireplace or the lintels for your windows or your doors. And a lot of the times they'd use like the sides of the ships as floorboards. So like a lot of the old lofts and things like that, and smoke houses will use a lot of that old timber. Why would you throw it away? I mean, timber costs a fortune even now, doesn't it? So if you're walking down the beach and there's suddenly like 72 4x2s, you're taking them home, aren't you? You'd be a fool not to. And honestly, Mark's relatives in Cornwall used to put fake lights out so the boats would crash, then they'd go out and club you on the head and nick all your stuff in your wood and everything and chuck the bodies back in the sea. Scuttlers, as they were called. Lucy and Colette, did you know that your dad's family were related to the very famous Scuttlers who lived in Odsal, where the docks are, in Salford. Yeah. You know, Grandad Paddy was related to them. And they are the people that Peaky Blinders was written about. You didn't know that? Yeah, come from a long line of shady drifters, me. As do our Jodie and Colette and Lucy, yeah. But yeah, it's the gift of the Irish. So yeah, so we've got all of that. So you've got an old man who's lived in the house. He didn't die till 1881, so he's lived in the house all that time. It's changed around him. It's gone from being a really quiet headland where he saw to his sheep and did his fishing and, you know, his hunting, to day trippers coming in from, you know, Victorian era where everybody's coming down to the beaches suddenly and everyone wants a day trip here and the boats are coming in all the time. I bet it drove him mad. I bet it drove him absolutely mad. And then add 200 years of progress on top of that. So you've got all of the cars and the noise and the devices in the house and everything. And maybe he's worked out that he can affect that CCTV. And the audio comes from the pump house. And the pump house was his job. That's what he did. And it's something around that pump house that triggers the system and it starts taping. So one night, Chrissy went out. She said, I was listening to you and you said, don't fear the fear. There's not a ghost in this world that's going to come in your room and stab you and kill you, is there? It's not going to happen. You're going to be shocked because you've seen it. And you're going to have to like try and force that fear down as much as you can. But it's not going to do anything to you. And once you work that one out, that it's actually not going to do it. It's a jump scare more than a terrified. Like, oh, shit, didn't see you there then. Rather than, oh, my God, it's going to kill me. If you can push past that and just kind of see them as the person that they used to be, then they are just a person in a different form of energy, and they're not going to be there other than they don't know they're dead and you might have to tell them and move them on, or they've got a message, they want the story told, there's something that they need to be told, or they're like Samuel, you just like being there. I mean, I'm going to haunt Winter Hill when I die. I'm going up Winter Hill with horses. Yeah, I've told him to put my ashes up there. It's my favourite place to be. Why would I not? That's where I'm going. I can see the sea from there. I can see all of the Pennines. So that's where I'm heading. I would imagine Mark would be the same. I'll be up at stables me when I die. But yeah, it's just you just move a different body, don't you? You're not here. You've died. And sometimes, like I say, they don't know. And I think he's just right grumpy. Yeah, it seems to have an effect on men. Now I don't know if that's not good. You know, if he's making men feel bad and he's affecting the personality and things like that, that can be dangerous, you know. But at least she recognises it. She knows the signs of it, you know, and probably taking someone away from the property would calm that down. And honestly, setting boundaries, which she has done with him, if it started to go that way with her current partner, she said she'll just shut everything down because he's more important to her than the activity any day. She's more curious now. Space Car, I love Winter Hill and Rivington. If I had my car, I'd be going up tonight, but I've not got my car because of that crash, so I can't. But yeah, so you've got a woman who loves the house, who's doing everything she can to fix it up to its former glory. And you've got a grumpy old man who loves the house, who's in his head, he's still going about doing his jobs and fixing things up. And I think they've reached a status quo. So when the paranormal team went in from Help My House is Haunted, they did pick up on the dark energy and they went and seen a historian. But I don't think they did a deep dive like I did. So they never put the two families together in a marriage, which full circle, aren't we? We've gone from a boy that was born as the crash happened, and these boys who are now living 200 years later who are experiencing those spirits around the home. So I didn't put the satanic panic on it. I didn't, oh, it's a demon. Because the minute you do that, everything starts to go negative, and then it just becomes a self-fulfilling thing. So do I concentrate on the dark one? It's his home anyway. Go in there with the team and try and kick him out of his own premises and all of that and brand him a demon, you know. Or do I say, well, if you're happy and the boys are happy, let's just leave things as they are for now. If you pick anything up on the CCTV or, you know, you have any more experiences, let me know. And then I said to her, tonight when I do the live stream, I'll talk people through what it's like opening up and accepting that you're seeing these things. Or if you're not opened up yet, you want to open up, you have to believe. You just got to really, really believe. I'm just checking that I've not missed anybody. So I wrote myself a few notes that I wanted to touch on. Right. So all of the serendipities. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to touch on was it made Chrissy very, very ill when she first tuned in, but I'm going to touch on that as we go down. The first serendipity of all, isn't it, is the fact that Chrissy was born in that home. That her parents bought it all those years ago and moved out because she couldn't settle as a baby in that room. And they clearly, you know, knew something was going on. Did those spirits, those energy, recognise her when she come back? You know, was she supposed to come back to that property? Was it a self-fulfilling fate, you know? I don't know. The fact that her youngest son can automatically sketch and will draw things that he sees on his ceiling, and that Chrissy can automatic sketch. She just sat down when she drew that picture of that boy, didn't look at it, just let her hand do what it needed to do. And she said, as an artist, she would have changed the smile a little bit and she would have changed the eyes a little bit, but that's what she was seeing. And I think that's what they're seeing around the property. And when I first looked at it, I'm going to be really, really honest with you, it scared me. It really, really scared me. Yeah. So I shut my phone on it, and then I don't normally ask Jodie to open up because my Jodie's, she's like me, she sees the dark ones and she can astral travel. And she did it one night, she couldn't get back in her body, and it really, really frightened her. So it's rare that I ask her to get involved in any of the paranormal stuff that I'm doing. I just had an urge to, so I said to her, oh, Jodie, I've had this, you know that case I'm working in Lincolnshire with the boys? And she was like, yeah. And I said, I've had this picture coming and I don't know, it frightened me, I didn't like it, it scared me. So she was like, let me have a look at it. So I give it to her, and the kids were over there, Layla, and making the right racket, weren't they, Mark? And over there on the couch, she was like making all the noise that they normally make. She just looked at it and looked at me, she went, just look at it as a mum or a nan, it's just a boy, mum. And when I looked at him, I thought, it is, isn't it? It's just a boy with a smile drawn with energy around him, because that's what he's presenting as. And then Chrissy said, I think the dark negative one's kind of making him look scarier to frighten the boys, you know, kind of thing. So you've got to walk a really thin line, and you've got to make sure. My main priorities are that those boys are happy and not scared to go to bed. And if they're perfectly happy in their bedrooms playing Xbox and eating pot noodles and doing all the things that boys that age do, more than happy to just leave the status quo and let things play out as they should. I think there are going to be a number of souls that will come to that home. It is a literal lighthouse for dead people out there on the coast. Anyone who's died in that bay or that sea or on the boats as they come into port, because if you die on that boat, they don't tip you over, they bring you into port. You know, there's a lot of death passes through there. Water holds energy. So you've got all of that, combination of all of that, and then Grumpy Samuel, who's like, literally, get off my land, this is my land. And you're parking your car on it, you know, and doing all the, cutting down his trees and changing things. When you start doing the house up, it amps up the activity, doesn't it? So you've got all that mixed in, going on. The other thing I wanted to touch on is this satanic panic, right? I'm going to make it as easy as I can for you. Not every haunting out there is a demon. And just because you see it on the telly all of the time does not make it true. Explain this to me. When did depression, sadness, grief, upset, loneliness become a sin? Because demons are made from sin. Those are emotions and feelings. Emotions and feelings are meant to be felt. There's no happy zippity-doo-dah. You have bad times, you have good times, and you have in between. But if we go into a property where it's soaked with emotion, I don't care who you are, or how famous you are, or how many TV programs you're on, that does not a demon make it. It makes it a saturated energy that can be changed or worsened, depending on your intent and how you deal with that energy. Prime case, Pets Lane, Lincolnshire. If I'd have run in there and said, get them kids out of there now, get them kids out of there now, you're all under danger. Can you imagine what a life would have been like for the last 6 weeks? So it's like, right, triage it. What's my main priority here? Don't have to worry about the dark one, he's just a grumpy old sod. But let's make sure the kids are okay. And then we'll work on the grumpy old sod. So that's that's where I'm at with her at the moment, is working, making her understand boundaries, but she's come to it intuitively and all this. It's like she suggests it just before I'm about to have the lesson with her. So it's not like she hasn't worked it out for herself. There's so many serendipities. It was a serendipity for me for the timing of it all, because I've been researching my grandfather's naval records, and he suffered with dark emotions because he went through war. You know, he went to Burma, he's seen some awful things, he was on those ships, and people demonize you when you come home because they send you off to be a killer when you're a little boy, and when you come back and you're depressed, they're like, what are you depressed for? Just go back to your job and shut up. Yeah, that's what society did to them when they came home. So there might be something like that. That's, you don't know what's happening on that land in the last 200 years, do we? We only know about Samuel, and then we know about Mrs. Moore and the end of the tale. We don't know the in-between of that tale and what's gone on there. So, like, digging into records now, or what I'll do, reaching you out online. If you want to get on your Ancestry.com or your 23andMe or any of those and you want to start looking for me, just email me and I'll send you whatever details I've got. Far too much work done on this case for just me alone to do it, you know. Hi, Emma. I'm sorry. I can't read the chat when I'm sat down, but I will happily say their names. Emma said, can you say my friends' names, please? They are Alice, Isabella, and Edda. Thank you. Hi, guys. I hope you're having a really good night. I get carried away when I'm chatting, and I can't see. I've got old eyes. I've got Android eyes, and it's all the way over there. So, yeah. So, I've been, for the past couple of months, I've been kind of going back through old memories and putting some things to bed and researching my granddad's navel. And Chrissy said something and it struck me as weird. I thought, oh yeah. She said it never put in my head that it could be something to do with the port and the sea. And I thought, oh, I grew up around a port. Salford Docks is the port, you know. And you just, when you grow up next to something, you don't really notice it, do you? So it's, for me, it's been about learning what my granddad did during the war, and then realizing that even those emotions can stay with you for the rest of your life. Something can happen to you when you're like 20 or 21, and it can affect the way the rest of your life goes, you know. And then if you're experiencing the strange and the unexplained on top of that, and you're trying to explain that to people, you're just going to feel more and more like a weirdo, aren't you? You know, you're just like, well, people are like, no, actually, that doesn't happen to me. And then you're like, oh, shit. But if you could get around people who would say, well, actually, no, it's not happened to me, but I get it. I understand it. That's what it's like for you. That can make your life go differently. That's what it was like for me. You know, I was ashamed to death for telling Mark all the stuff I'd experienced, and he was fine with it. Yeah. And honestly, life is why would they give you this gift for you to waste it? Don't make sense, that, does it? Life is a way of putting you where you should be. Chrissy was brought to the house for a reason, right? The main other bit is don't fear the fear. I spent 27 years not doing it because I was scared of what had happened when I did it. And then when I did it, it wasn't that scary at all. And I got a lot of like self-confidence from it, is the only way I can say it. Maybe that's the way they keep people with abilities down. I don't know. How do you do it? You just got to zone out. It's the only way I can put it. Do you remember when you was a kid at school and you were dead bored and you just stare out the window and you just go? Your brain would just go and you just head be full of magic. Well, that's kind of what you do. For some people, they'll play music because they'll play the guitar or they'll play the... For me, it's writing. Or I'll just lie in the sun and think, and things come through, and you got to trust it. So, like, when it comes through at first, you think, no, and you just push it away and you just think you're silly and all that. But if you just trust it, I don't know, you open up slowly. Nothing should be done overnight. And that's what Chrissy did. She went outside and she said, I was out there 2 hours, Deb, just saying, right, I'll help you. I'll do whatever I can. So it was howling wind and rain. I will do whatever I can to help you move on. And she said it was like 1,000 people all just came at once on her. And she was sick. She wanted to throw up, and she was really, really ill, and she had to put herself to bed. And she said she realised that she just said, everybody, all come at once. And I kind of did the same thing. You got to like state some clear boundaries, so you'd be like, right, I can feel you. I know you're around me and I know you're bugging me, but today's not the day. But I will sit down. This is how I do it. I will sit down on Thursday and then I'll open up and we'll see what you can do. But I don't even do that now because if I'm meant to do it, it just kind of happens. So if, like with this case, if I'm supposed to do this case, I didn't run out and chase it to find it. It came to me, and I just do that. I just wait for that case to come to me because I think if it's meant to, then it will. So before I carry on, I am going to see if I can get the chat back up. Yeah, there we go. So I can see all the lovely people in chat and I can go through them and see what I have missed. Let me have a look. Just give me a minute just to have a read through. I'm just going to have a drink of water as well. Is my Jodie in there? Should I say it? Should I know her on camera? Everybody says, oh, you don't have to look like your man. You probably look like your man. Jodie, am I allowed to talk about your astral travelling? Mark, where did you put me water? If she's still there. Where? If you're still there, Jodie, make a comment for me, sweetheart. Ow. They might not be. I didn't know it was Lucy's birthday. There we go. I don't know, my Jolie. She might be there, but she might not be able to hear me. So let me see. Make sure I've not... No, I think I've caught up, haven't I? Right, so that's where we are. So yeah, paranormal families. Let me get me notes up. So, I was talking to my uncle Nat, who is my Nana Lily's, he would be her nephew. So my Nana Lily and his grandfather Nathan were brother and sister. And he's had paranormal experiences his entire life, as most of my paranormal cousins. So Jodie's Irish and Welsh on my side, and German. And then on her dad's side, she's Irish, and both her parents are grandfather's and her grandmother's parents are both Irish. So Jodie's like 3/4 of a shamrock and a bit of a leek. Yeah. So we all have unique DNA, don't we? But she, as a child, when she used to dream, she could fly. And I asked her how, and she went, I don't know, I just run and I can fly. And she's always been able to do it. And her dad used to be able to do it, just like run in your dream and take off and fly. And she could get that way. Thank you, Caramel Bunny. That's really kind of you to say. She'd get that way where she could make a dream shift the way she wanted them to go, which is amazing. So as she got like to be a teenager, she was literally astral traveling without thinking about it. But as I said, there was one night that she just couldn't get back in and she saw this dark thing. And it completely shut it down for her. She was like, no, I'm never, ever, ever doing that again. So she's at the stage now where she's working through that again. And then like the peripheral vision things that we all see out the corner of our eye, that affects her. It affects me when I see things out the corner of my eye. And for a long time I thought it was cracking up. And it's like, as a mum, I don't want her to think she's cracking up. So instead of doing what my mum did and hiding it and what my nan did and hiding it, it's like, well, yeah, it was like that for me as well, Joda. I don't know the answer. You just have to, like, accept that it's going on. And then just get comfy with it, I suppose. I suppose it's like when you try a new style for the first time, you feel a bit of an idiot, don't you, when you go out down the street, like when you've got big flares on and everyone else is in the skinny jeans. But if you're comfortable, just wear your flares. So Eileen's put in the chat, I have dreams like that. I jump higher and higher and eventually fly over the countryside. That's kind of what she did. But she said she could eventually, say she was being chased by something, she could just literally run and she'd just take off and fly. And like, I've spoken to other witnesses that can do the same. And my mum had no trouble whatsoever with like meditation and astral travel. And she said that when she was younger, she'd just go to places in her head but to never like really speak about it because it was just looked at as silly. I can't do either of those things. I think I did it once and it lasted for about a second and a half. But that was it. I can't take myself off somewhere. I can remove myself from me, so like the situation's not bad, but I can't literally go somewhere else and view it like they can. That'd be amazing. All them years when I was stuck in bed with my bad lead mark, I'd just gone all over the world, wouldn't I? Yeah. I was wanting to warp. If I could have a superpower, it'd be Arby. So you could just like pop up in Australia, or you could just like pop up in Sweden and then just pop up back at home. So I suppose astral travel's a bit like that in my head. So I'm going to ask Eileen, can you control it? Like, when it's in your dream, has it ever got scary for you, Eileen? Because, like, it really did for my job. It really, really did. And she sees those dark things that I see around the bed as well. But the other night, it wasn't a dark thing. It looked like a normal, well, like a normal man kind of thing, like a man in his 30s. Hi, Roger. And I was more annoyed than scared. I was like, go away. Because I've not really slept this week. I've been awake a lot this week. So like, I finally managed to get to sleep and it frightened me. And I was, like I say, I was more angry than anything. And I just went straight back to sleep again. But I found if I put a sleep mask on, that's helping. So I've been trying to do that as often as I can. And I'm using that light. Hi, Shade. I'm using that light thing more. It's supposed to make me, the blue light's supposed to make me sleep better. So I've been trying to do that. But yeah. Eileen said, no, it's never gone dark for her. I know some people who it has and some people it haven't. I know Deb Singleton, she was at a circle and something dark stood over and she couldn't push him off. And that was the first time that she couldn't push somebody off them. And it was like that with me with Kitty Sark. Not Kitty Sark. Kitty, Sarkless Kitty. I wonder if they're related. The Kitty Sark and Sarkless Kitty. Is there a connection between them? I don't know. I have to make a note of that now. Yeah, when I kind of, I don't even think I channeled her. I think she just took up completely, like, slam dunked me from the side and took over. And that was just a mix of anger and rage and, like, embarrassment and shame and all the stuff that other people had kind of put on top of her, you know. That was one that, it didn't frighten me, but I felt weak because I couldn't get her to shift and I couldn't get him to shift. Because, like, I seen the guy that hit her and pushed her in and I couldn't get him to shift. His energy wouldn't go. It took me quite a while. And I keep saying I'm going to go back, but I haven't yet. Shade saying, just had a tea time myself. UK folks, and part of British Welsh, actually. So she got me drinking tea. I've got a cup of tea there at the side of me. I must drink 40 gallons of them a day. But yeah, I'm a bit tired tonight, guys, so I don't think I've got much more in me, to be honest. It's been a long flipping week since that accident, and it, Mark. We've had so many courtesy cars, you would not believe it, and not any of them have worked. And then they gave us one the other day, and it was just full of Jack Daniel's bottles, so Mark gave it back. But yeah, hi Ashley. It's been one of them weeks, hasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably, if it's all right with you guys, I'm gonna get going in a sec. And we'll jump in bed and I'm gonna chill out for a bit, and then I'm gonna message my daughter and say next time you're gonna be in the chat, you have to let me know so you don't throw me, and I'll give you some questions. But yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about tonight, nip back onto my channel and watch the premiere that was on at 8 o'clock. Or watch part 1 and then watch part 2 because it spreads out over a whole 2-hour thing. But I would like to thank Chrissy and Simon because it is incredibly rare in the UK for not only people to come forward that have had a lifetime of events at one property, but actually be named and share evidence as well. It's very, very rare, and it just shows how far we've come. You know, from when I first started out doing this, people wouldn't even give you the name. To like right the way through now where they're like, no, Deb, that's fine. If you could deal with that side of things for me, I'll deal with the house, the souls that are here and the boys, and then we'll kind of keep the status quo going. Yeah. So, hi, Duzzer. I have not seen Jonesy tonight. Jonesy usually tunes in from the pub. Well, I'll probably see him next week. But yeah, thank you to everybody that tuned in. I cannot thank you enough. And I will be back next week with another surprise, I promise you. Good night, everyone.